with this, we conclude we have come to the final segment of the last session of the Gyan course, for which I invite Professor Stefan Helgeson to conduct the last tutorial of this course. Participants are requested to pose their questions in the chat box or use the raise hand feature on their screen to speak. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. And this is a very, very short session, and I know there's a valedictory session coming up very soon. We've also covered a lot of ground this week, so I'm wondering if the best way to use these few minutes would be to watch those 11 or 12 minutes of that video link I sent by email, where we see a reading and the beginning of a lecture by Anke Kroch, because I think this adds a lot to what I was saying yesterday, and you get a sense of what an impassioned poet and thinker she is. So we'll do that, and then we'll see if there are any closing questions after that. Please go ahead.
Feel I lie because I blatantly indulge in words and useless eros. In the face of so much injustice, if poetry perseveres as luxury, it also becomes a lie. I live on the other side of injustice. Therefore, I have the time to tune chords precisely around the private gland. And why not? This country has already been ruined. Then the order comes. Words should be AK-47s, should always fight. Poetry should be usable, deed, relate the struggle, take sides. Weeds are mightier than roses. Tortured poetry grows wild in phonetic rain. How can I safeguard this poem against the stupidity of politics? Distressed I stand, looked upon with suspicion, my most ordinary words refused. But I'm ashamed by the poet's unheard of poetry, which screams on the other side of all breath. There, where your eyes stop now, gravel road, Spaza, someone may have disappeared before dawn. The wind moves as if in war. Children kick a ball in the townships where 3/4 of the world lives and waits, rightly so, for equality. Shy like you, brave or stupid, or perhaps already lazy and corrupt like us, from their hands hangs this treacherous carpet of hope and hunger and dream. But the poet stands aside. He hears of petitions, motions of injustice. He has stopped writing poems, no poetry. The thoughtful poet stands smoke blue with cold. And barely audible, she repeats her arrest. Her sentences melt from her tongue, not in print, not in photographs, not in statistics. Everywhere it is damp. Rumors of disappearances, torture, and anonymous deaths. The struggle filters through with inaudible, fierce noises into the shady suburbs, and we have become a country of rumors. If my senses cannot wean the cries from the leaves, or the blood from the barricades of groceries, or pick up murder from the blockades near my desk, I will die hardened in the crossfire of pencil and paper, which always fight back to the truth. All the writers are dead, aren't they? They can't write about or of the oppressed. And the oppressed writer is drowning in anger. This is what's being said. Aesthetics is the only ethic. They say as well, but the demands do not tolerate neutral ground. Between evils, I choose nothing. I was born of a guilt of greed and scorn, where I felt myself at times apart, a hedge between myself and them, myself and the slaughter. Nothing ever prepared me for hunger and homelessness, landlessness. I tried to find a bridge, but everything is burning and I'm looking for a guide. Beware of propaganda, rhetoric, coarse change of words under the whip of lies, without even the charm of consciousness. Is aesthetics ever useful? I never stopped studying survival. With this fragile, most light-hearted category, I diligently investigate every relation to breathe. To breathe. Yes, to breathe. Language has never been useless or fake, but only. Although the poet may desire indulgence and the progression of political words, the injustice is real. And whatever I write, which will survive, sprouts from this very feudal clash between Luddite and lie. So to find the bridge, I try to find a metaphor in terms of Lady Anne Lindsay. In 1797, Lady Anne's husband, Andrew Barnard, was sent to the Cape of Good Hope as secretary to Lord Macartney, the first British governor of the Cape Colony. Barnard was given this post by the Secretary of War and Colonies, Henry Dundas. Lady Anne, who was well connected to both Dundas and the Prince of Wales, accompanied her husband and became the first lady of the colony in the absence of Lord Macartney's wife. Her letters and diaries are filled with acute observations and assessments of the situations and people she came across in and around the Cape during her period of residence, from 1797 to 1802. She also produced hundreds of drawings and paintings, of which most are in Balcarres House, her ancestral home in Scotland. So the volume opens with her on ship on her way to Cape Town. And it's a letter to Henry Dundas. Who is it that bloody well sends me downwards to the south to foreign soils? And above all, why? Fabricated from an abundance of stains and knobs, my highland origin always matters to me. Stony gators and mist, an intimacy there where water lists the only reflection. Like you, sir, I was purified for castles. On deck, under my blanket, my senses sting. I am suspended, grim swine, in the rigging of sound and salt. My fingers fondle blocks of umber, carmine, and new cinnabar, marked down by Newmans in London, to pound this wretched life of yours and mine into dignity, into blends of poetry and paint. Suddenly, out of the sea, slightly to one side, a parasol of crystal shimmering over skin of a whale. My husband fires his gun. A jet of bubbles vibrates thunderously from a spout. Will this whale surface furiously beneath the ship so that we tumble sucked into a vortex with blank-eyed animals, sails billowing underwater, wobbling deck, cannon snouts pointing upwards under fleeces of hair, mine a blonde combless fern or fin in a ring of roses slowly sinking to the dregs. But of course, I find her quite useless as a guide. I wanted to live a second life through you, Lady Anne Barnard. Show it is possible to hone truth with a pen, to live an honorable life within so much privilege. Weave a language of revolution and conspiracies, liberate slaves, clinically plunder royalty, and with your expedition through the interior, cleave the Boers to the bone. But from your letters you emerge, hand on the hip, talented, but a frivolous fool. Pen in crafty ink, snob, naive liberal, being swayed away from your principles by your useless husband's pampering. You never had real pluck. And now that your whole puerile life has arrived on my desk, I go berserk. As metaphor, my lady, you're not worth a fuck.
We can end there, I think.
Inscription.
Yes, I mean, this is undeniably powerful. The transcriptions had many errors, as you probably could pick up, but one gets a very strong sense here of how Ankie Krogh is constantly grappling with her own sort of conflicted position as this poet with profound insights into the unjust history and present of South Africa, and at the same time being of the Afrikaner or Boer minority, the white minority, which has caused so much destruction, really, in South Africa. So I just felt that this was a significant supplement to my lecture yesterday. And if there are any questions at the moment, I could address them, but otherwise I'm quite happy to wrap up here.
I'm reminded of the monologue by the Sojourner. I hope you have read that. The famous monologue by Sojourner.
Yes, this rings a bell. Tell me more.
I'll share that. Don't worry. And also, you know, it's so interesting that even in the poem, in literature also is doing a kind of cross-referential underlining of the fact that memories are so important and letters are so important. The not so official documents about history are so important. So I felt, you know, what she was, the poem was talking about, the content which has not been read, that is lying unread. It's so important for all of us to explore history.
Yeah. No, it's a very good observation, and I'm kind of glad that this also resonated with Claudia's lecture, which had this focus on poetry. So this today was sort of the poetry the poetry day of this course. But you're absolutely right, Viva. I mean, what Claudia's doing there is sort of trying to reach out to the historical record, trying to find some anchorage in this case, in this individual lady, Barnard, but failing to find it. I mean, there's that poem that basically ends with the vision of shipwreck. Yeah.
Claudia, are you around? You would like to say something to that? I think she's gone to take. Yes.
No, I'm here. I was
Yes.
transfixed that when I heard you, and I must admit I haven't sort of read much by her. So you put new reading on my list. I should. That's something I have missed. I've been very eclectic in my South African reading, so I'm sorry, but you're right. I'm all with you there.
I'll recommend this very much, this Sojourner's performance. It's a monologue. I will share that with all of you, and this performance actually was a complete replay of that. Just she's a black lady, and here is a white lady, and the same anger and the same wrath, and the same kind, same tone. It's beautiful. It's
Sojourner Truth. Yes. Now I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. So am I right? Am I right there? It's somehow I'm reminded of that.
Very interesting comparison. I mean, obviously, Sojourner Truth came from a sort of distinctly different subordinate position in society. But the passion, I think, can be compared.
Yes. Sometimes emotions on the people are totally on the opposite ends, are united by their emotions and their commitment to their own goals, even though the goals may be totally opposite. Their agendas may be totally opposite. So literally emotiveness comes into play, into unifying people, and that's what we have watched here.
That's very well put. Yeah, I agree. Whoops, you're muted.
Somebody would like to say something finally before we move into the valedictory session? Any of the participants who have watched this poem, the performance? All right. So we can now go ahead. It's a wonderful wrap up with poetry as the finishing touch for the entire discussion. Thank you very much, Stefan, for sharing this. Thank you once again, Claudia, for being there. So over to Omara.